There's a moment most men never prepare for. It doesn't arrive with thunder or shouting. It doesn't come in a dramatic fight or a clear goodbye. No, it's much quieter than that. It starts when her messages take longer to arrive, when her eyes wander a little more during conversation, when she laughs, but not fully. At first, you ignore it. You tell yourself she's just tired, just busy, just stressed. But inside, something ancient flickers, a primal awareness that the balance is shifted. She's pulling away, not physically, emotionally. And that's a kind of loss most men have never been taught how to face. You try to compensate. You send more messages. You get her flowers. You plan something big. You become, without knowing it, a man trying too hard. And that's when the slow unraveling begins. Because she doesn't pull away when you're careless. She pulls away when you're too careful, too accommodating, too emotionally available. When you make her the center of your gravity, she starts floating towards something else. Here's what no one told you growing up. Attraction isn't built on words. It's built on energy, on how grounded, centered, and whole you feel in your own skin. And the moment she senses that you've lost that center, the game changes. This isn't about winning her back like a prize. This is about understanding a deeper truth. A woman's interest doesn't fade randomly. It fades when your presence becomes predictable, your energy becomes needy, and your value becomes externally dependent. So what now? Do you chase? Do you confess? Do you fight for her? No, you do something rarer. Something fewer men are brave enough to do. You pause. You go quiet. You stop reacting and start recalibrating. This guide isn't for boys looking for pickup lines. This is for men who stared into the silent void after connection fades and ask themselves, what kind of man am I becoming in this moment? Because that's the real story here, not how to get her back, but how to get yourself back. To understand how to respond when interest fades, you must first recognize how it happens. Let's start with a quiet unraveling. When connection dies not in conflict, but in silence, it doesn't start with her leaving. It starts with little things. She stops texting first. She laughs at your jokes, but her eyes look elsewhere. She says she's just tired more often, cancels plans with reasons that don't quite land, and her replies, once playful, turn short and neutral. Most men don't notice the shift at first. They keep doing what worked before, being kind, attentive, available. But what they don't realize is that something has already changed beneath the surface. Attraction doesn't die in one blow. It fades like a slow leak. It's not about what you did wrong in the moment. It's about the subtle erosion of presence, mystery, and grounded masculine energy. When you first met her, you were centered. You had your own rhythm, your own life, your own gravitational pull. You didn't overthink. You spoke freely. You didn't chase because you didn't need to. That's what she felt. But slowly, as you got more invested, your balance shifted. You started adjusting, making room for her at the expense of your own space, answering immediately, apologizing for things that didn't need apologies, smiling even when something didn't sit right with you, just to avoid rocking the boat. And she felt that shift too. She didn't pull away because you were kind. She pulled away because your energy turned from sovereign to seeking. Women don't articulate it this way, but it's what they sense. They tune into how you carry yourself. Your eye contact, your calm, your presence. When those things start wavering, their instinct kicks in. Something's off. That's why it always feels so confusing. One day, things feel alive, connection, spark, closeness. Then suddenly, without warning, it starts slipping. You think, did I do something wrong? But it's not about one thing. It's about the accumulation of small misalignments. This is the part where most men double down. They try harder, send longer texts, plan spontaneous dates, say things like, I just want to make you happy. But you're not calming her uncertainty, you're amplifying it. Because if you're not sure of yourself, how can she feel safe in your presence? Here's the truth. A woman feels secure when a man is secure in his own frame, not in what he says, but in how he breathes, waits, walks, leads. And when that begins to shake, even just a little, the magnetic pull starts to weaken. You don't need to panic. You don't need to beg. But you do need to reclaim your center. Because interest doesn't just fade without cause. It fades when your energy becomes dependent on hers. Now that you've seen how the ship begins, it's time to dive into what she's really looking for, but will never say out loud. Let's talk about the emotional polarity that reignites everything. Now that you've seen how the ship begins, it's time to dive into what she's really looking for, but will never say out loud. Let's talk about the emotional polarity that reignites everything. She doesn't lose interest because you weren't good enough. She loses interest because you stop being emotionally charged. Most men think attraction is about consistency. Show up every day, be kind, be stable. That's only half the truth. Stability earns respect, but emotional polarity earns desire. Without it, she feels nothing. No charge, no tension, no mystery, just quiet familiarity. And familiarity, unchecked, becomes invisible. In every romantic dynamic, there's an unspoken current, a magnetic push and pull. You don't see it, but you feel it. When you were first getting to know her, it was alive. You were a little unpredictable. You didn't always reply instantly. You weren't afraid to tease, to challenge, to step back when necessary. That edge, that's what pulled her in. But once you felt safe, once you got comfortable, you moved from presence to performance. You started managing her emotions instead of expressing yours. You became soft, agreeable, and emotionally overexposed. And that's when she started slipping away, not because she's cruel, but because the polarity died. Think of it like this. She's fire. You're steel. Fire doesn't dance with more fire. It flares against cool resistance. It tests boundaries. It needs friction to stay alive. If you become too soft, too warm, too available, you smother her flame. If you disappear completely, she feels unsafe. The key is balance. This isn't about playing games. It's about understanding feminine psychology at a core level. Emotion is her native language. She doesn't want emotional flatline. She wants a range. She wants to feel something. Curiosity, confusion, comfort, tension, excitement. Let's break that down. Curiosity, don't answer every question. Don't overshare. Let her wonder. Comfort, be consistent in presence, but calm, not clingy. Tension, don't always agree. Let silence sit. Let space breathe. Playfulness, tease. Laugh. Be light when the moment allows. Challenge, disagree when you mean it. Respectfully, unapologetically. When a man maintains emotional polarity, he becomes unforgettable, not because he tried harder, but because he carried himself with weight. That's what women crave beneath the surface. Not the man who proves his love with constant gifts and affirmations, but the man who doesn't bend under pressure. Ask yourself, do you make her feel, or do you just make her feel safe? Both matter. But if she only feels safe, you're her brother, not her man. Stoic masculinity isn't about cold detachment. It's about emotional leadership, being the calm in her storm, not the storm reacting to hers. When you hold that energy, she doesn't just come back. She remembers why she was drawn to you in the first place. But understanding polarity isn't enough if you keep falling into the one pattern that destroys it completely. Let's talk about the silent killer of attraction, desperation, and how it slowly erodes your presence. Desperation doesn't scream. It leaks. It leaks in the double text you send when she doesn't reply. It leaks in the way your voice shifts softer, higher, when you're trying not to upset her. It leaks in your sudden urge to explain yourself, to apologize for things she never asked about, to prove you're different. You don't need to beg to seem desperate. All it takes is your energy bending around hers like gravity around a black hole. The truth? Most men start losing the woman not because they cheated, disrespected, or argued, but because they couldn't handle uncertainty. And in trying to fix the silence, they flooded it with insecurity. Here's the brutal psychology of it. The moment she senses that you need her more than she needs you, her feminine instinct pulls away, not because she's selfish, but because the masculine frame collapses under need. Women aren't drawn to men who need them. They're drawn to men who choose them without abandoning themselves in the process. And when you make her your source of emotional validation, she doesn't feel loved. She feels responsible. And that burden kills the spark. So what do most men do when she starts withdrawing? They confess. They overshare. They tell her things like, "I can't stop thinking about you. You're the only one I want. I feel empty without you." It sounds romantic in your head, but from her side, it sounds like pressure, not passion. In that moment, she doesn't see a man who's in control of his emotions. She sees a man drowning in them, hoping she'll throw him a rope. But Stoic men don't beg. They breathe, they feel the tension and let it burn. They don't silence their pain, but they don't weaponize it either. They take the energy of longing and redirect it into building, training, evolving, because that's what masculine strength does. It turns emotional chaos into quiet discipline. If she pulls away, let her. Don't chase. Don't demand closure. Don't try to win her with gifts or grand gestures. Let your absence say what your words can't. Let her feel the contrast between a man who clings and a man who can walk away with dignity intact. Because nothing reclaims attraction faster than quiet confidence in the face of uncertainty. And even if she never comes back, you do. You come back to yourself, stronger, calmer, and no longer willing to prove your worth to someone else's confusion. Once you recognize the signs of desperation, the question becomes, what do you do instead? This is where emotional distance enters, not as a manipulation tool, but as a powerful masculine reset. Most men think pulling back is a game. Stoic men know it's a reset. Emotional distance isn't about punishing her. It's not the cold shoulder. It's not silent treatment. It's space, clean, calm, unreactive space. When she pulls away, most men panic. They rush to fill the void with words, gifts, decorations, or plans. They believe if they can just fix the energy fast enough, they can stop her from drifting. But you're not supposed to stop the drift. You're supposed to observe it and let it happen. Why? Because attraction isn't built in the noise. It's built in the pause. In that quiet space, she feels everything more clearly. Your presence, your weight, your absence. And if you rush to fill it, she never has time to miss you. Pulling back isn't weakness. It's leadership. It says, I'm not here to chase. I'm here to connect. But if connection fades, I'll return to my purpose, not to your approval. In psychological terms, emotional distance removes the reward cycle she was used to. Every time she pulled away and you ran after her, you train her that withdrawal equals attention. Now, you break the pattern, not to punish her, but to stop abandoning yourself. Let's get practical. What does emotional distance look like? You don't reach out. You don't unfollow her or block her in anger. You don't post cryptic quotes hoping she'll notice. You simply stop reacting. When you do this right, something shifts. You stop being the man seeking reassurance and start being the man she starts wondering about again. Because distance isn't just silence, it's signal. It tells her, you're no longer the sun I orbit. I return to sender. If she cares, she'll notice. She might message you, test the waters, reconnect casually. Don't rush back in, because if you do, you've taught her that all she has to do is vanish and return whenever it suits her. Instead, stay grounded, keep the tone light, rebuild slowly, let her lean in. And if she doesn't, good. Her silence made space for your clarity. Because distance doesn't just reveal who wants to stay. It reveals who you become when you're no longer begging to be chosen. In that space, men either break or become unshakable. You're here because you're ready for the second option. And when you create that distance, when you stop chasing, sometimes something unexpected happens. She returns. But that's when most men make their final mistake and lose everything they just reclaimed. Sometimes she comes back. Out of nowhere, a message pops up. Hey, stranger, was just thinking about you. Or maybe just a reaction to your story. Light, casual, familiar. And instantly your pulse changes. Because in that moment, the part of you that missed or wants to believe it means everything. It doesn't. It means she's curious. Maybe nostalgic. Maybe bored. Maybe she's testing the waters to see if she still has power over you. And that's where most men fall. The second she returns, They drop everything. They respond too fast. They overinvest. They try to schedule a date, relive the magic, go back to how things were. But here's the truth. The moment she comes back is not the moment to let your guard down. It's the moment to observe, to notice who she is now, not who you remember, to see if this is curiosity or commitment, to see if she's stepping forward or just circling back. Because when a woman senses you've been waiting the whole time, pause in limbo, hoping she'd return, her attraction doesn't reignite. It shrinks. It tells her you weren't whole without her. It tells her your strength was conditional. It tells her the silence was strategy, not stability. But when you stay composed, when you don't rush to reattach, when you speak calmly, respond slowly, and don't try to escalate anything right away, she feels something she didn't expect. Gravity. You've changed. You're not chasing. You're not apologizing. You're not trying to win her back. You're simply existing. Calm, confident, centered. That unsettles her in the best way. So what should you do? Acknowledge her message politely. Don't flirt. Don't initiate plans. Keep it light, simple, neutral. Let her feel the gap between who you were and who you are now. If she wants to rebuild, let her show effort. Only when you see consistent action, not just messages, but time, energy, and emotional investment, should you consider stepping forward. And even then, take your time. Rebuilding attraction is like rebuilding trust. It's not about picking up where you left off. It's about starting from who you are now, not who you were when you lost yourself in her. So remember, if she comes back, it's not a victory. It's a test of your growth, your composure, your power. Handle it right. And you don't just regain her attention. You reclaim your standard. And whether she stays or not, you'll never be the man who needed her to feel complete. So now the ball's in your court. She might come back, or she might not. But the question isn't about her anymore. The real question is, who are you now that you've let go? If you made it this far, you already know this wasn't just about her. It never was. This was about the way men lose themselves when they give their power away. Not because they're weak, but because no one taught them how to hold still when love starts to shake. In a culture that tells you to act fast, text back, fix it, win her, the real strength is in the pause. In the breath between impulse and reaction. In the choice to become undeniably solid, even when everything around you feels uncertain. That's what Stoic men do. They don't chase what's slipping away. They build a life so steady, so full, that what leaves notices. So whether she comes back or vanishes for good, you've already won. Because now, you're not standing in the ashes of a breakup. You're standing at the gate of your rebirth. This is your moment to lead yourself, not just in love, but in everything. Led in your discipline, led in your silence, led in your presence. Because that's what she truly noticed at the start. Not what you said, but who you were when you didn't need to say anything at all.